Forgiveness AI, your trusted companion for peace of mind. Forgiveness AI is a powerful new tool available on Spiri, and it works well on both desktop and mobile devices. Forgiveness AI does much more than just minimize fear and anxiety. It takes us deep within the mind to recognize our emotions, thoughts, and beliefs, allowing us to genuinely choose peace and release old upsets for good. Experience Spiri, your spiritual assistant.
You're being asked to trust the Holy Spirit and trust the one who is the bridge back to eternity, the one who will give you whatever you seem to need in this journey and will renew it for as long as you have need of it. Whatever you seem to need, it will be given you and it will be renewed as long as you have need of it. But also the Holy Spirit would not have you linger, would not have your mind lingering in time, because it is not of time. Your mind is of eternity. God is of eternity. Christ is of eternity. And the Holy Spirit would not have you linger in time. That is not your inheritance. The things of time are not your inheritance. Eternal happiness and love and joy, that's the inheritance.
When the road feels rough and shadows fall, a miracle mind can answer the call. Stories of hearts that chose to be free, bringing light where fear used to be. About 50 years of miracles shining bright, parables of David guiding us to the light. Let go of the fight, choose joy instead. Open your heart where love is led. David's life shows how grace breaks through. These parables can do that for you. Let go, be willing, and change your mind. Miracles are yours to find. About 50 years of miracles shining bright, parables of David guiding us to the light. Let go of the fight, choose joy instead. Open your heart where love is led. David's life shows how grace breaks through. These parables can do that for you.
I know for myself, if people would say to me, "Do you watch a movie every day, David?" I don't. I just enjoy these with you, mostly. Do you read the Course in Miracles every day? No, not anymore. I've been with it since 1986, but I don't. But if they ask me do you listen to music every day? Yes. Music was what got me into the spiritual awakening, and it's also taking me out of it, taking me out of the world. I can merge with the music. That's my meditations. I can merge with the music and soar and expand and soar. And that's what I do on a daily basis, in case you're wondering. That's what letting go of the world is.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, we're here with a full Zoom room today, and everyone's here with a shared purpose, happiness. And yeah, we're in the happy weekend. This is a weekend full of happy lessons where today, even the lesson is just talking about remember happiness is your goal and you're worthy of happiness. Remind yourself of this through the day and set it as the intention there. So we really want to hold that in mind. And feels like such a blessing we're together. Yeah, this journey can seem like so intense at times. We have this goal of happiness together, and then it's like so much of other stuff comes up along the way, and we know it's there coming up for healing, but still, sometimes it can feel difficult. Like, why is it such a hard journey, and why does so much intensity kind of come up along the way? And I feel really blessed this week. I've just had so many different symbols of gratitude and how fast it can actually be. The choice for happiness can actually be really quickly made. But sometimes, yeah, we just need to have that willingness to see that's all that I truly want. And I've seen different points this week where like complexity has come up in the mind in different functions. Some of us here are kind of getting ready for our next steps and kind of making like preparations for new things to come. And it can be like this tidying up of the old as well, wanting to make space for the new. But we can also make things so complex for ourselves too. And I found at a couple points this week where suddenly I felt frozen up with fear, with even something new I was stepping into. And it felt like, oh my God, this feels really big. How can I possibly make my mind cover this whole big new area? How can I do that? And I can see that the area, this thing that was coming in for me was a step guided by the Spirit. But I did feel like this fear come up in my mind. But every time that happens, I'm so grateful to be able to go towards like my brothers who I trust and like remind me of the truth. And the truth is simple. And so many times it can just be this little reminder of like, no, it's just this one step now. It's baby steps, like that movie with it Bill Murray taking baby steps, just one small step after the next. And sometimes we make things so large and we make things so complex. The ego likes to just make things feel so difficult that, oh my God, it's too much. You have to back away. But then when we're just willing to be with a brother and say, help me see what it is that's before me, I want to step towards healing. And it can't possibly feel this, intense or fearful. What's going on? Yeah, there's that line like, why should the good take evil's form? And sometimes we perceive what comes in to be like, this feels like something wrong. It feels like something too intense. Why would the spirit put me in a stressful situation? But it's all about interpretation. When we perceive what's coming in to be taking the form of difficulty, there's some interpretation that's been made in the mind because the spirit's way is actually very simple. And even today with that thing that I had, like stepping into a new area, I was just reminded, like joining with a brother, actually, no, you don't have to try to take on everything now. Just take this one small step. And I was like, oh my God, actually, that's really simple. You just want me to take one small step. Some of us, have these huge to-do lists of things that, seemingly are given for us to do, but it's only ever one small step at a time. And if we can just stay with that, stay with the present moment of what's given in the present moment, it makes things feel so much easier. It's like, oh yeah, I can work with that. I was just trying to take on too much by myself. But it's always going to be the spirit who's doing everything through me. I just have to allow him to take the next step. So it's like, Spirit, what would you have done through me now? What would you do through me now? So yeah, it can sometimes, it can feel like, why do things, feel so intense. I'm here, I'm willing, I've said yes to God. Maybe I'm stepping in the direction with spirit too, but so why should things feel so intense? And there can also be like this concept, that surely I have a peaceful life. I love that David video, like, I was perfectly happy before A Course in Miracles. Why is everything broken into mayhem now? And and sometimes we have these great like self-concepts, like, spiritual self-concepts, or I'm peaceful, I'm fun-loving, I'm a good guy, people get along with me, and surely, that's enough. But if we looked honestly at that, it's like, were you actually truly happy? And why did you take a step in this direction? Was it because actually there was a sense that there was a greater love and you weren't actually completely happy? And if we look honestly, I think we can admit, yes, okay, there was something going on there. I wasn't happy all the time. And so, yeah, I really wanted to look into that today because, yeah, we sometimes we take steps in this direction and we have this concept of like what it is to even be peaceful, what we think we need. Um, like if I can just have my own space and rest and relax, that's enough. And I think that's all I need to kind of move through with the spirit. But if that's not what's actually coming in the form after a prayer, maybe there's something there to be looked at in the mind. And we do this together. So I was really kind of interested in this kind of topic about simplicity of salvation. When things don't seem to be simple, why is it things seem to be complex after we've said a big yes to the Spirit? So I did look at that part of the course, the simplicity of salvation. And I just want to read a bit because it's kind of presenting this simple idea. How simple is salvation? All it says is what was never true is not true now and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects, and that is all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? So surely, like if we could really be in touch with that idea that what is false, attack, separation, that's not true, but it's kind of conceptual. But if we truly wanted it, and if that was all that we truly wanted, that would be the experience. So why is that not the experience? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true and what is true cannot be false? So it's just getting in touch with it. Something we perceive that the truth is simple. God is love, and surely that's enough to if we were really in touch with that. Why would I be afraid of that? And like, why would I accept anything else in the mind? But there's some other lessons that we've been learning. So it goes on a bit later. There is a reason why this is difficult to learn. Confuse it not with difficulty in the simple things salvation asks you to learn. It teaches but the very obvious. It merely goes from one apparent lesson to the next. Very easy, baby steps. In easy steps that lead you gently from one to another with no strain at all. This cannot be confusing, yet you are confused, for somehow you believe that what is totally confused is easier to learn and understand. So this whole world where I seem to be a separate body and I do things my own way and like this is what I'm familiar with and it's a confusing world, but this is easier for me to understand right now than the truth of who I am. What you have taught yourself is such a giant learning feat that it is indeed incredible. But you have accomplished it because you wanted it and did not pause in diligence to judge it hard to learn or too complex to grasp. So it's saying this world that we perceive, like it's very confusing. And like, how is it that this became the real to us? How is it that this became the most real and obvious thing rather than the truth of God? No one who understands what you have learned, how carefully you learned it, and the pains to which you went to practice and repeat the lessons endlessly, in every form you could conceive of them, could ever doubt the power of your learning skill. So it's just going on about like we don't recognize like how much energy we've put into making this separate identity. And it's a defense, and we don't know, we seemingly don't know on the surface why we have this in place when surely it's all love is all that I want. But it shows there's a confusion there that's in the mind that's been learnt. So we want to come back to this simplicity and how do I get in touch with that? And and I do feel that it is simple. It can kind of seem like, fear will arise and the ego will try to make things complex. But when we're together and there's a willingness there to take the small steps together, it can actually feel very easy. But when a defense comes in about like, but I'm going to lose something, or this is too much for me, or I can't possibly do that, just the reasoning that goes together with this separate identity that we have, it can make things feel very difficult. But if we're just willing to take the one step and not try to figure anything out, the one small baby step, that's enough. So I went on to some more parts of the course that talk about simplicity. And this is from The Problem and the Answer, chapter 11. This is a very simple course. Perhaps you do not feel you need a course in the end that teaches that only reality is true, but do you believe it? So there's something else that we're believing in the mind more than the truth. A little bit later, it goes on to talk about the mindset that we're going to adopt to come into learning this lesson. So the Bible tells you to become as little children. Little children recognize that they do not understand what they perceive, and so they ask what it means. Do not make the mistake of believing that you understand what you perceive, for its meaning is lost to you. Yet the Holy Spirit has saved its true meaning for you, and if you will let Him interpret it, He will restore to you what you have thrown away. Yet while you think you know its meaning, you will see no need to ask it of Him. So, yeah, as I said, like, sometimes we've built these, we've learnt these concepts of what is peace, of what is love. Peace for me maybe is being content, sitting in a quiet garden surrounded by trees and birds singing and no one bothering me. We can have these kind of like, what is easeful? And these idols have come in to take the place of what true peace is. It's associated in this physical world, but it's a picturing. And we're holding on to the picture much more than we're willing to hand it over and say, actually, I don't know what peace is. And even love. What is love? Love is an experience where I have all this affection coming out of this body towards another body, and they are fully willing to receive it. And we're in this loop of love and giving and receiving of energy. There can be like some concept that's built up around the bodies. And that's what love is. This is like a sharing where everyone's smiling and nodding at each other. But then like when we're not receiving that or we're in an environment and I'm here for healing, why is it not reflecting that? Why aren't others accepting my love? And it can be so quick, we can be quick to judge the form. It's like, if this is good, why is it taking the form of evil? Like if my love isn't being received. But it's saying here that maybe we're not perceiving things as they truly are. So our images, our idols have come in to take the place of true peace and true love and true understanding. And that section goes on to say, you do not know the meaning of anything you perceive. Not one thought you hold is wholly true. The recognition of this is your firm beginning. You are not misguided. You have accepted no guide at all. Instruction in perception is your great need, for you understand nothing. Recognize this, but do not accept it, for understanding is your inheritance. Perceptions are learned, and you are not without a teacher. So it's going on to talk about willingness and being just willing to be shown and to adopt the mindset of a child. like little children who get led by their parents and ask questions about everything. Like David used to talk about, like, like a child in the cinema watching the movie saying, "Mummy, what's that? Mummy, what's that?" And some people are going insane. But David was saying he was there, and he was just there for the experience of being with that child's wonder of being in that experience. Mummy, what's that? It's like such an open mind, such a willingness to be shown and not to put definitions on anything, but just, tell me, teach me. And so we really want to come into that gentle mindset of children. But yeah, I've seen it time and time again. Like when we do come together in a community setting or a healing group, a Course in Miracles group, and then we start to feel how like conflicts can get raised. And you can see why so many students want to even like just do the course like it's a self-study course. I need to do this by myself in my cave. But there can be such a resistance towards like going towards my brother who's going to show me what's in my mind. But it just takes such a constant remembering of like, I'm here for healing. I've asked to see what is the contents of my mind because I want to move beyond that. So so yeah, we do want to kind of like, I mean, deep down, of course, we want to open up to love and just be dissolved into the love of God, and that is true, but it's so covered over by goals that we don't even recognize and other things. And these do get revealed when we ask for healing and come towards each other. What is it that I'm hanging on to? Like sometimes we could be like, working in the kitchen together or the garden or a project, and somebody will say something to us, and and there might be a reaction of like, are they telling me what to do? Or like, they said that in a harsh way. I don't like the way that they said that. And you can see like a defense will come up, but there's in a defense, the defense is always like one finger pointing outwards, saying like, I don't like the way you're talking to me or what you said or what you're doing. And it seems to be like I'm trying to stand up for myself here. I'm trying to stand up for, don't you see that I'm divine? Or don't you see my innocence or my holiness? So I'm justified. I'm standing up for what is right. But that thing about whenever we point out and make the error outside, I love that thing of you point with one finger and three fingers are pointing back at you because it's judging. Like we can't see the attack of that. We're saying like, I'm actually weak and I need to stand up for myself. Although we're saying we're defending something that's, truth, there's fingers pointing back saying like, but I'm actually weak and I'm a victim and I can't let this attack go on any longer. I can't be this small thing that has to keep on defending itself. So this belief in defense and attack, it comes up when we come together in so many subtle ways. Like we could have thought that, oh yeah, I was doing really good in my life. Like, job wasn't a problem. I had so many friends and everything was going along smoothly. And so it can be kind of like shocking then to come out of like an environment we meticulously set up so we weren't going to be triggered. We can like set up an environment so well, like like trying to make heaven on earth where I've got everything, my body is taken care of. I've got everything that I need. And I only bring in friends who are very nice to me and reflect the truth in me and nothing else. And if they try anything else, I'll push them away. And I gotta have barriers, safe barriers. And so, but we can see how it takes a lot to maintain our little heaven on earth. And it's not very fulfilling because there's a big fear underneath that trying to keep something up. So finally, like when we want to drop all defenses, we do come together and, we come together with this shared purpose. And it can be quite a shock to the ego. It's like, what are you doing? Like, where are my usual safeties? Like, what's going on? Why are people talking to me in a different way? And it can be quite a shake. And we need to remind ourselves quite often, I'm here to see what it is I have hidden, to see the guilt that I've kept buried, that's actually keeping me from a true experience of peace, a true experience of God. Yeah, so it kind of feels like very deep. So yeah, I just went on actually because I this it's this presence we want to come in touch with, of course, of the Holy Spirit. Like even this thing of like, I want to feel the guidance and I want to feel Jesus's presence and the Holy Spirit's presence with me the whole time. So why am I not experiencing that? It's this same thing of like, if that's all I truly wanted, the peace of God, and that's all I wanted to hear, I would hear the Holy Spirit so clearly. So there's something else kind of going on in my mind where I've accepted this attack in my mind as being more valuable. There's something I'm holding on to that I feel justified for holding this image, and I have to maintain this image. But there's this massive fear of something else. So yeah, there's this part of the course, chapter 26, called The End of Injustice. And so this experience of injustice we're having, how do we move beyond the injustice that we perceive in the world? And it goes on from the previous chapter where it's talking about the presence of Jesus and the Holy Spirit in the mind and being there as a light in the mind. So it starts with, what then remains to be undone for you to realize their presence? Only this, you have a differential view of when attack is justified and when you think it is unfair and not to be allowed. So it's like, what? When do I perceive it that attack is justified? And we can't see that it's these little slights that happen to us when someone says something and they said that in a harsh tone. It's kind of like maintaining the belief in attack and defense. So when you perceive it as unfair, you're unfairly treated, you think that a response of anger now is just, and thus you see what is the same as different. Confusion is not limited. If it occurs at all, it will be total, and its presence in whatever form will hide their presence. So if we accept like a little defense, it's the same as accepting attack anywhere in the mind, and it will confuse us and it will block out the presence of the Spirit. They are known with clarity or not at all. Confused perception will block knowledge. It is not a question of the size of the confusion or how much it interferes. Its simple presence shuts the door to theirs and keeps them there unknown. So there's something there now we're starting to kind of get in touch with. What is this attack that I've kind of allowed to keep going in my mind? So there's another section in the course, in the Hero of the Dream, that has this small little line about salvation and how can we come into this experience of like accepting salvation. The secret of salvation is but this, that you are doing this unto yourself. No matter what the form of attack, this is still true. Whoever takes the role of enemy and of attacker, still this is true. So I'm doing this unto myself. But how can I come to recognize this? So this is like really deep. And I didn't even know I was going to go into this until a couple of days ago when I was praying about a movie and I was going through all the movies that we had. And I really love some of the movies that I've showed recently. I had salmon fishing in the Yemen a couple weeks ago, which was like a beautiful one for like saying yes to the inspiration and taking steps in that direction and stepping out of the old life. It was a beautiful one to start to open up. And then last week I had at Satcham Farm, where it was like, okay, and now we're in this environment of healing, or we've got brothers around us. Where is it that there's still unworthiness in my mind to step towards what it is that I've been given and as my holy gift? And so function has been given us like special functions, like at Satcham Farm, that movie last weekend, Ross was a beautiful guitarist and it was his gift. And he needed to accept that to get in touch with the love and to get in touch with all his defenses where they were. And so it kind of feels like in a bit of a continuation. This week, I've got another movie where it's going to start with the gift, and the main character is going to recognize what their gift is, or maybe not straight away, but they feel the inspiration between with the general direction, and they feel an uplift. I'll just mention it. So the movie we're going to watch this week is I've got the title. I Can Only Imagine. And and I'm sure many of you have seen this before, maybe some of you haven't, but this is based on the true story of Bart Millard, and he's like lead singer for this Christian band Mercy Me. And eventually they'd come out with this beautiful song called "I Can Only Imagine," which topped charts of Christian radio stations, but also other radio stations for when it came out. It was one of the most played Christian songs upon its release that had ever been kind of released because it was just touching everyone. But there was something so deep behind the song that was touching everybody, and that's what this whole movie is. And it is this healing that I've been talking about. But in this movie, he has this love of God, and it starts from a young age. He feels like there's this resonance that's there, and he wants to use his voice too. Like he's just very naturally doing it for himself at the start, for no one else. But he can see that there's something in the and a feeling of a hope or a connection that he feels through this music that he's not experiencing as a child in the world that's around him. His father, Arthur, is this farmer and who's been like a failed kind of football star. He had an accident. He was very promising, upcoming star, and then seemingly his dreams were ended. And with an accident that occurred, and he couldn't play any longer, and he's so defeated and upset, his father is, that he just wants to squish out any hope that's left, and he's taken on this new hardened shell of a personality of like, just deal with what's practical. What is practical, is just work. What's right in front of you, and it's very hard, but he's just totally lined up with the ego now. And Bart has this beautiful heart, and he's kind of like opening up and getting in touch with the music. And then you see he's going to come into this family, like home environment, and it's such an affront. His father is like, wants to say, quit with your daydreaming. Dreams, it's not about dreams. Just like throw them away, get real, stick with what's real. And his singing or like his passions are seen as something being frivolous, like just like, why are you going with that? Get real, boy. And so Bart is going to go from like he's going to have this experience too, where very early in the movie he feels like he has like a love connection as a child with this friend, this girl he meets, Shannon, and there's like a heart connection that's there. But very soon afterwards, too, that initial connection is made. There's going to be like his mother is going to disappear. She's going to leave. And Bart has gone from like he had a soft, loving connection with the mother, and he valued it, and the connection with the music there as well. That's something he loved. And suddenly she's out of the picture, and rage comes up with Bart. He's so angry at his father. He puts all this blame on his father, for being this violent, abusive man. That's all he's ever known from his father. He sees his father as a monster, and he blames him. And in some ways, we'll see like he still has this love underneath, and he wants to connect, but it's being distorted. And you'll see he in the beginning he's just wanting to make his father proud. It's like, okay, I've my mother left, and he blames himself for the loss of love with his mother. Whatever I was, this soft, young, innocent child, lover of music, whatever that was, wasn't enough. And in his mind, he's saying like there was something about me that wasn't enough. Why did you leave? And instead, he's stepping in with this, okay, well, I got to be practical. I'm gonna be on the football team. That's what my father understands. He had a love of football. I'll make him proud. And he's trying to build this concept instead of like really kind of going to the core of where the attack is. Of course, he'll be ready for that when the time comes. But instead, he's just trying to build this world. He's trying to learn a new world where it's just like, I'll build my worth on pride, the being seen as valuable in the eyes of my father, doing well there. But we're going to see very early on that even that Bart has his own accident, and that's not going to work for him either. And the call of his heart is underneath, knowing I need something more. This love of God is the real thing that needs to pull me through. And the music is going to rush in again as his way, as his given path to open up to this love. But throughout this movie, we're going to see he's going to start taking steps in that direction. And he's opening up to God in the music, but there's some major block there that's still remaining there with in his mind with the relationship with his father. And it's somewhere where he has allowed attack and he has still justified attack in his mind. And with that, it's the small self-image. It's the being a victim, and he's holding on to that for all of his younger years in his life. He's been holding on to this image of like, I was defenseless and this guy was an animal. He was a total monster, and I could never forgive him. And there's something that he's really holding on to tight. But the other beautiful thing is we're going to see Bart takes his steps. He does have a function with the spirit, a special function with the music, and he is stepping towards that. Like, how can I use this gift? And at the same time, it's going to come up in a very obvious way that he can't even sing in an authentic, full, pure way. Like, because he's singing like Christian songs, but it's kind of more for show. Like, he doesn't have a deep experience of God yet, or of something that truly touches him. It's a bit of an act. He's like trying to fake it until you make it kind of thing. There's certain things that still touch him, and you'll see there's this kind of a band manager that comes in for them, this guy called Brickle. And he can see something in Bart, like he can see the authenticity in Bart, where the true calling comes in, and he feels something genuine about the calling. But then it's quickly covered over, almost like there's this fear of that love that comes in very quickly. And instead, Bart just kind of like he's sticking to the safe kind of thing. Like, I'll just do rock music, and why is this not good enough? And he's blaming everyone else for not feeling accepted. But there's a very deep thing with this where he needs to face what it is that he's pushed out of awareness. He needs to face this like attack that he's held deep in his mind. And and it's so beautiful too, because as he takes his step, like the steps with stepping towards God, using his function, using what God has given him, at the same time, his father is taking steps. They're going to be apart for like a long time. And his father is also opening up. But there's like beautiful scenes that will come in this movie where it really shows that the attack was only ever like this ego film that was playing on the surface. And underneath, even for his father, like his father had this call to love, but he didn't know how to answer it. And on the surface, it just looked like mayhem. It looked like a monster playing out with defensiveness. But there's a very sweet, loving call that's underneath. And Bart didn't want to acknowledge that at all. That he didn't want to acknowledge the love that his father actually had for him. And we'll see even early scenes where there's subtle ways his father tries to open up to him and be like this, like almost like a pride, like, oh, I'm proud of you or something like that. But very quickly Bart won't accept it because of this attack that he's still trying to maintain on the figure of this father. But it's gonna be so beautiful because Bart does have this intention to open up to God and have like this full, I want the full experience and I want to sing from a full place. And you'll see there's so many times where he almost wants to kind of give up, but then something in him remembers like, no, there's something that's keeping me going. Like through the years for myself, I kind of feel like sometimes it's like I can't recognize anything else. Maybe I don't even really know what love is or peace in a true kind of way, or there's nothing I know truly. But sometimes all it feels like that I'm hanging on to is that I'm here for healing, and I know something about that. Maybe there's just something that feels very solid about that for me. Like I know I want healing. And that's what I keep on coming back to, no matter how hard things get. And I feel that for everybody here, it's like there's something we feel of the value of that. That's why we keep coming back again and again. So, yeah, this movie is one that really doesn't actually need much of an explanation or anything because it's so obvious the heart opening that occurs, the symbols of attack, the symbols of defense, like they all play out in such an obvious way. But it's a beautiful one for really moving past the belief in abuse, the belief in attack, anywhere we're still trying to hold on to these ideas as real and give them any validity in the mind. It's like we want to be able to really question now these old concepts that haven't been working for us. And that's what we're doing together. How do we open up to the mystical experience of being one with God? Like, how do we open up? I know, like, we have a sense of like, I just want those mystical experiences where the world falls away and I'm just there in the pure love. How do we open up to that? Well, this is what this is for. This is the steps we're taking together. We're readying the mind for that experience. So, yeah, I think maybe we can start with that. And yeah, just allow yourself to be opened up. It's We'll come to see in this too that when Bart truly does want healing, and he wants to drop the past or face the fear that's in his mind, it actually goes very quickly. And this is really, it shows us like the simplicity of salvation. It's just all the defenses that make it complex. But when that's all we truly want, it can be so quick and it can be so loving. And Bart's going to be amazed too at the transformation he sees before him. So, yeah, we can let it play. So, enjoy the movie, everyone. And if you're in YouTube, come and join if you want. You can still come and join us. And yeah, enjoy.